You're listening to The Arms Room on the Vets on Media Network.
You gonna turn the music down?
All right, here we go. Man.
Good job, Mason.
Welcome to the Arms Room with Mason.
And Glenn.
And Glenn.
And John.
All right. Thanks, Mason. Why are you still fiddling with stuff? It makes me super
No, it doesn't.
When you
It
touch
sounds...
things over there. Makes me think like we're not recording.
I feel like I'm in a cave.
Us.
Cave.
All right.
There's an echo.
You know, what's funny about Mason is he says, I've never been officially trained on any of this stuff, right? So what I would do is if I ever recorded a show that sounded good, I'd just take a picture of the mixer board over there, and then every week I'd just set it up the same exact way.
Common sense will not be tolerated.
All right. All right. Welcome to the Arms Room. We want to tell you a little bit about this show being brought to you by AR500 Armor. Remember to check them out over at ar500armor.com.
Yes, that's an excellent idea.
I have my micro plate carrier here that I carry around with me now in my truck, and I've used it a lot for training. I love it.
It's perfectly sized.
It's perfect. It carries just the right amount of ammunition for me in a training environment, and it gives me just the right amount of protection. You know, some people want tons and tons of body armor covering their entire body, like freaking knight and plate armor or something like that. Go for it, man. You go right for it.
They'll set you up.
Yeah. Contact AR500 and say, I want to be
front, back, abdominal, shoulder,
want femoral, and I want
AR500,
coverage.
man.
I want everything, and they will hook you up. You will also be super slow, super heavy, and super tired by the end of the day. So I prefer, a smaller carrier.
And they don't sell just armor.
That's right.
They have a full line of nylon goods.
Yeah.
They also carry red wire convertible slings.
They do.
They do.
They have some Independence Training med kits. That's right.
So they are a one-stop shop.
They have some emergency preparedness supplies, MREs. They have the cold fire suppression systems, hydration packs, holsters, HSGI tack gear, tons of stuff. Check them out, ar500armor.com. And if you're an Independence Training student, you do get a discount over there. How phenomenal. All right, so I want to talk about this book I read this weekend.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I read an entire book in one day. That's how amazing this book was to me. It's called Agenda 21. It's a novel, right? It's a story about the future, but it's not like a post-apocalyptic future, like Ermagerd, freaking zombies or whatever, right? It's like it's a book about basically what happens when you let government just get out of control. It's kind of akin to like the book Anthem by Ayn Rand. It's a book kind of like that, where it's basically kind of a good example of how the slow erosion of rights and everyone just kind of continuing to be okay and okay and okay. And all of a sudden, bam, next thing you know, subservient, And it's a really good book. I highly, highly recommend reading it. It's less than 300 pages. So that's why I was able to read it in a day. It's not a lot of pages. Big print, no pictures, which I was saddened by. I had to use my imagination and stuff. But Agenda 21, really good book. I enjoyed it. Check it out. You and I, John, we did a fun project last week. We did a video.
We did do a video last week. I was like, wait a minute, what are you talking about?
Don't you remember that time?
Whoa.
No, you want to go to the Independence Training YouTube channel and check out the video that we did on targets.
Yeah, it was a good video. It was hot. God, it was so hot.
It was freaking hot, man.
Ugh.
And what people don't know is there were several instances where I was finishing the take with bugs in my mouth because there were all these stinking gnats flying around. They kept flying right into my mouth. It's terrible. But the video is about targets, why we use certain targets in our training, the very specific targets we use, where you can get them, why we use them, and kind of a little bit about how we use them. We don't go great in depth about that because we could have a whole video on each target, but there's a lot of info on there. People just don't, I think a lot about the targets that they use. They put up some giant you know,
Well, they just pick up what's available at Walmart or the local
TQ
shooting
15
store
torso or whatever.
So,
yeah. And they just throw it up there and say, this is good to go. But there's more to it than that. So, check out that video so you can see a little bit more about what we posted up. Anything else on that, John?
This weekend was actually Saturday was National EOD Day. Pretty awesome way. I have my own holiday now. It's a real holiday, dude.
How did you celebrate?
I didn't do anything. I went to a birthday party and built bunk beds for my kid. But at Eglin Air Force Base at the EOD Memorial, they had the ceremony this year and I'm not sure how many, but they put the names of the techs that died up on the wall and did the memorial and the ball and the auction and everything. So it's kind of a big weekend for my one of my other communities.
For your people?
Yeah. But that's about it. That's all I did.
That's about it. All right. Well, I want to tell everyone about the Veterans Action Shooting match we have coming up.
Ooh, that's what, next Monday?
Next Monday.
Yes.
Next Monday, May 11th, is the Veterans Action Shooting match. Back on April 11th, we did this Veterans Appreciation Day with Concerned Veterans for America, and we didn't really know how it was going to turn out. We ended up with 36 shooters and 3 different action stages, 2 carbine, 1 handgun, plus a full mag dump with an MP5.
It's always fun.
Tons of fun. Everyone had a great time. It was a whole bunch of young vets, all shooters. Man, we had such a good time. And the best part about the whole event for me was how many comments we got from the attendees who were like, this is what I miss. Right? I miss hanging out with the guys. I mean, we had everybody there. Every single branch of service was represented at that event, and it was just kind of hanging out with the guys. There's
even a couple of coasties, weren't there?
There was a couple coasties. Mason was there, ran a stage for us, did a great job. You'll be back for the other matches as well, right, Mason? So John will be there running some of the stages. It's going to be a great time, a lot of fun. Concerned Veterans for America still sponsoring the event, still have some other sponsors giving us some prizes and ammunition and things like that. So veterans, just like on April 11th, will attend at no cost.
Nice.
It's super awesome. You're going to show up. The firearms are going to be provided. Ammunition is going to be provided. May 11th, that's a Monday, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Cowtown Range in Peoria.
It's next Monday.
That's next Monday.
And we'll remind you next Monday.
And we'll remind you next Monday on the show. But after that one, we're doing 2 more. So if you can't make this one, we have 2 more. June 8th and also July 13th. And they're going to be 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., so it's a little bit cooler. We're hoping to catch everybody after work. Hopefully you can make it out on one of those days. So also June 8th and July 13th. Come out. Have a good time. It's going to be a blast. All right? So we're just, and you don't have to pay for anything. If you're a veteran of any conflict, right? It doesn't matter, or no conflict. If you're a veteran of no conflict, no big deal. Come out and meet the guys. Have a good time. Learn about Concerned Veterans for America. There's no obligation or anything like that. Some people are like, well, what's the catch? There is no catch. Show up. If you're a veteran, just show up and shoot for free. It's going to be a great time. All right. So if you want more information on that, check out our Facebook page, either Independence Training or the Arms Room. It's being posted up on both. And of course, you can always contact us, info@independencetraining.com for more information, and we'll tell you how to sign up and all that good stuff. So other than that, we today are going to have a guest on our show. It's Hunter Cayll. Some people refer to him as the no-handed shooter. And I believe, I'm going to look it up right now because I forgot to do it before the show. I apologize. But I'm pretty sure that I think his website's nohandedshooter.com. I'm going to check it out real quick. Yes, it is. So Hunter Cayll is known as the no-handed shooter. His nickname is Nubs. And basically, he has no hands. And he shoots competition better than most competition shooters I know. So if you go to No Handed Shooter, we're kind of watching the slideshow right now, and there is just a ton of great pictures of Hunter and how he manipulates his firearms, his handgun, his carbine. He's got some specialized gear, but that's been a recent development. If you watch some of his older videos, he didn't have that, right? He was just using stock equipment and figuring it out. And now he's got some really great modified equipment, magazines, firearms, things like that that enable him to, run his guns a little bit more efficiently. But so we're going to be talking to him here when he calls in a few minutes. In the meantime, I want to talk a little bit about our defensive handgun class and kind of some of the lessons learned this weekend. All right. So, we always have lessons learned in our classes, and here's a couple of them. Give me just a second here. I'm going to pull them up. Maybe.
I know we had a student come in and shoot
Yes.
left-handed, even though he's a right-handed shooter.
Mhm.
And he apparently did well. I'm sorry that I missed that. I wish I could have been there to see that.
That was probably one of the biggest lessons learned, is the fact that you had someone coming out and shooting with the entire opposite side of their body than they've ever shot with. And this is a student of ours who's been through our defensive handgun class. I think this was maybe his third time. Either his third or his fourth, maybe. But he's been through it over the years. He takes it about once a year or so. And just to kind of keep, refresher. And for this class, he got a left-handed holster. He ran magazines off his right side, gun off his left, just like a normal left-handed shooter. And he ran the entire class left-handed. So lesson learned is learn how to use the other side of your body. It's something we talk about a lot in our training. You never know when something might happen, either in the moment where suddenly you become, and people always think like, oh, it's because you're wounded.
I had to pick up my kids. I had to open a door. I had to, whatever.
It might just be a more convenient situation to switch to the other side of your body. Maybe you're trying to, tuck around cover, and you're trying to minimize the how much of your body is being seen. Sometimes that's easier to do, switching over to your.
There was an article in SWAT a while back written by someone who was talking about that very thing, and they had to do it because they had to have some type of surgery on their normal shooting side, like on their arm. So their arm was immobile for months, and they had to figure out how to shoot with their other hand and carry with their other hand, and basically readjust everything they did until they were done with their physical therapy and everything. So,
well, and that's just it. Some people talk about injuries to that support side or to your normal shooting side, like, oh, in the middle of the fight, I'm going to get shot a whole bunch of times or something. So it's like, what about normal injuries? Like, what if I break my arm?
Yeah.
I am normally a right-handed shooter. What if I break my hand, break my arm, and now it's going to be in a
cast? What
if
I tear my rotator cuff in jiu-jitsu class, or doing CrossFit things, working out, which I don't do that.
I was going to say,
I don't work
you're
out.
Not fooling anybody, dude.
I don't work out. So.
So I had a friend who lived for deer season, just as a, kind of a non-tactical example, absolutely lived for deer season, loves to hunt deer, also works on a ranch. And literally this guy just spends, as soon as deer season rolls around, every waking moment to him is out hunting deer somewhere in the Western United States, And that summer before deer season, he had a piece of machinery break and hit him in the eye. And he had to have eye surgery. Luckily, it didn't blind him or anything, but he had to have eye surgery. And so he was unable to use his dominant eye for about a year and a half while, everything got healed up and the surgeries and all that. And because he had practiced shooting from his left-hand side, deer season continued as normal. He just switched his rifle over to the other side, still harvested his deer, still did everything he needed to do. So, it's kind of a lot of it just the idea of shooting from your other shooting side, or really kind of being ambidextrous, is not just oh my gosh, I got injured in a fight. Now
it's not a tactical thing. It's
just a real world deal. There are times in a lot of different situations would be more convenient. So if you haven't ever shot your rifle, your shotgun, your handgun from your support side, from your other shooting side, as we like to call it, get on it.
Yep.
Spend an entire day practicing. Come take a class from someone like us, or another great training organization local to you that teaches that kind of stuff and teaches you how to effectively do it. It's not just like, all right, now everyone put your gun in your other hand and shoot a lot. All right, well, that's not really training. There's certain techniques we want to still apply. We basically have to reset ourselves to learn the fundamentals almost all over again, because now we're training a new finger, a new eye, a new way to reach out and grab the gun, a new way to reload, etc. So, make sure that you take some time to learn how to run your gun from the other side. All right. Probably another big lesson, which is really always a lesson for us, is to avoid trouble at all costs. There's a lot of students who come into class, they get a lot of questions about use of lethal force and things like that. And oftentimes we're trying to explain to them, look, the more I've carried, the older I've gotten, just the more cautious I am. I think the less likely I am to get involved in those kind of situations, because I understand more and more the repercussions of being involved in something like that. One student asked me, hey, we're going through these like shooting and movement techniques, and we're moving forward, just dumping rounds into these targets, effectively, accurately hitting what we want to hit, as we're moving. And this one student goes, how come you never read about civilians really doing these kinds of things in the real world? And I said, well, because you do every now and then. It's usually that magazine article, Armed Citizen or Good Guys Win, depending on what magazine you're reading, where the guy doesn't get found at the hospital wounded. He's dead on the scene.
Yeah.
I remember reading one in Armed Citizen in the NRA magazines a few months ago where like this old World War II vet like smoke checked 3 dudes in the living room. You know what I mean? So you don't read about those ones. Most of the time you read about, or I shouldn't say you don't read about those ones as often. Most of the time you read about the one where they fired one shot, the guy ran away, or they hit him in the stomach or something like that, and they picked him up at the hospital. And so the student's like, well, how come you don't read about more people using this? And I said, because honestly, I think that people who come out and train and take this seriously are probably the people who are least likely to have to apply it in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like another form of risk mitigation. The more I understand this,
the less I want to be involved.
The less I want to be involved in it. And I think that's a big benefit of training as well, is you start understanding the realities of how things actually truly really do happen. And then of course there's liability for your rounds. That's the other thing you have to be thinking about. And that was a big lesson learned in this particular class was, there's great liability for your rounds. It sounds easy. It even looks kind of easy. But then when you're actually applying these techniques and you're sending rounds past your bad guy, we use some of those photorealistic targets like we demonstrate in our recent video. We use photorealistic targets that have backgrounds. They have people, they have cities, they have stores, they have homes, they have all these things in the background. It's like, man, if you miss, there's a penalty for your failure.
Yes, there is.
Whether or not you incapacitate bad guy or not, you're still looking down the pike of a possible, legal issue. So that's really something to think about as well. And then I think another great lesson is we had a student have a lot of questions about kind of the real world application of force. And so we kind of started breaking things down to lessons learned as you're reading through these armed citizens survive type stories, and lesson number 1 that I think you can take away is you have to have quick access to your firearm.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have quick access to your firearm, then it's probably not going to do you any good in the moment that you need it. Right. So that means good holsters, good safes, things like that. Right. What type of firearm, caliber, etc., typically isn't really that important. That has a relatively small effect on the outcome. Mm-hmm. Your ability with that equipment has a much greater effect on the outcome than the brand, model, caliber, or your perceived greatness of that particular weapon or whatever doesn't really have that big of an effect on the outcome. And that training, skill set, and equipment typically don't have a big effect on the outcome, but when they do, they're incredibly important. Mm-hmm. So even though there's a small chance you're even going to get involved in a civilian self-defense situation, there's even a smaller chance that your equipment and or skills are going to have a great effect on that outcome. But when they do have an effect on that outcome, it's a huge effect.
Yeah.
It's like the difference between life and death kind of effect, and so skill set and good equipment, whatever that means to you, right? Good equipment is not going to fail. Good equipment is going to perform under all conditions, whatever that may be, is really important. And I think those are, as you look, as we read other people's stories, it would be foolish to not learn everything that we can from them. Mm-hmm. Anytime someone tells me a story about some time they survived something, I don't care if they survived a car wreck or getting lost in the woods or a gunfight or whatever, appropriately, right? Being respectful, I get as many details as possible because I want to learn from them, right? I mean, I've been in a handful of life and death situations myself. I would like other people to learn from mine.
Yep.
So the same thing I want to learn from other people's, obviously, respectfully, because you don't want to pry too deeply on some of these things, but still, it's amazing what you can learn. So anytime you read one of these stories, get more details, learn more about it, figure out what you can pull out of it. Those armed citizen columns from the NRA magazines, or the new one in SWAT magazine, Good Guys Win, or any of these new news articles and stuff that you read about someone defending themselves with anything, learn from it. Look at the details. Under what time of day did it happen? Where did it happen? What were the conditions? Why were they attacked? Et cetera, et cetera. Learn how to mitigate those risks. So, all right. I think we're going to take our first break. We're going to give Hunter a call. I think he hasn't called in yet, so we're going to call him. But let's take our first break. Sweet. And as soon as we come back, hopefully we'll have Hunter Cayll on the line.
All right.
Everyone's going to need an attorney at some point in your life. I'm no different. Hey, everyone, it's James from Vets On. Whether it was my last will and testament before deployment or my ongoing custody battle for my children during my divorce, I needed help, so I lawyered up. If you need help, I urge you to contact Capstrom Law Firm. Capstrom Law Firm in Springfield, Missouri services clients throughout the state in criminal law, personal injury, and family law. With over 13 years practicing law, Tom Capstrom understands both law and court procedures and how stressful they can be. Let Tom Capstrom Law Firm and his dedicated staff take the stress and worry out of a difficult situation by calling him today. We feel so strong about the work that Tom and his staff are doing that he'll be a monthly guest on the show. Tom is a veteran and a listener, for God's sake, so you know the guy is solid and will fight for you. Give Tom a call today by calling 417-864-0552 or email Tom at capstromlaw.com. And don't forget to tell him that Vets On sent you.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertising.
If you or someone you know is looking for a new job or career, you need to visit the pros. National Career Fairs at ncfairs.com. National Career Fairs hosts over 300 career fairs a year nationwide. The events are free and give you the perfect chance to meet some of the top employers in your area face-to-face. To find the nearest career fair to you, visit ncfairs.com. Again, that's ncfairs.com. What are you waiting for?
Veterans served us, now it's time we serve them. As a veteran of Afghanistan and Iraq, as well as a current military member deployed abroad, I would like to take a minute of your time to tell you about Patriot Hills of New York. Patriot Hills of New York is a nonprofit organization providing support to veterans and their families. They partner veterans in need with over 65 health and wellness organizations, community groups, as well as philanthropic foundations providing no or low-cost services. They've helped over 400 veterans through confidential referral services, assistance with veterans issues, employment placement, as well as educational opportunities. If you need assistance or just want to help veterans by donating your time or services, contact them at info@patriothills.org. Again, that's info@patriothills.org. Visit patriothillsofnewyork.com for more information about their services or how you can donate. Our veterans deserve no less. We can give it to them, and you can help.
You're listening to The Arms Room on the Vets On Media Network.
Hey, you're back on The Arms Room with John, and Glenn's on the phone right now working out the details for the call-in for Hunter to give us a call back. So hopefully we'll have him on the air here in just a few minutes. And if you see I'm playing with our new patches, see what goes on with those. Come on, man. Come on, man. What are you doing? Hurry up. Waiting on you.
He's good. He's good.
Waiting on you.
He's good, man. Calling guests are always fun. Always fun. You know, it's why we always prefer having, guests in the studio, because you can see them and you can have them here and all that. But hopefully he'll call us right back. Oh, here I think he called the wrong number.
Oh my goodness. So,
hello.
Lesson learned. No, nothing.
No, something else.
Uh-oh. So how about? Oh, here he is.
Oh, there we go.
Never mind.
Go ahead.
Sweet.
All right, honey, you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Right on. Hey, thanks for calling in, man. So,
Well,
what's that?
go ahead. No. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you, man. We got you.
Okay.
So,
Wonderful.
so you
I'm
said,
kind of out in the middle of nowhere, so.
so you said you had a busy
Let me know
weekend.
if- Hello?
Yeah, you there?
Okay, yeah, I'm here.
All
I can
right.
hear you.
All right.
Stand in one spot.
Right on, man. All right. So you said you had a busy weekend. I hope that was because of a lot of shooting.
Yeah, it was. I actually had 2 matches this weekend, and so it was fairly busy. Not too crazy like some weekends, but it wasn't very calm and peaceful. That's for sure.
Well, that's all right when it's shooting involved, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So while we were waiting first off in the show, we were kind of talking about some of the lessons that we'd learned from a class that we had taught this weekend, a defensive handgun class. And one of our students, who normally is a right-handed shooter, decided to retake the class completely from his left side. So he got a left-hand holster and, working only from his left-hand side. It was very cool to see someone challenge themselves like that. Obviously that's something that we really advocate in our students. And so we were kind of talking about, how in life you have to overcome, sometimes you could have any kind of situations that might happen. You could get injured, before an event. Maybe you're a right-handed shooter, you break your arm or something like that. If you don't already know how to shoot from your left-handed side, that could be pretty difficult. So, obviously we kind of introed you a little bit in the beginning of the show and just kind of told everyone where they can find your website and, told them a little bit about, your situation and how at first you didn't have equipment that was modified for you. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. When I first started, it was all just everything standard. It was a little Walther P22 and a Scar 16. And everything was completely standard. And yeah, it was a lot different back then.
Now back
for sure.
Back then, because I think that was the first time I'd ever seen any of your videos. I think was from a back then time, and it looked like you were maybe out training with some buddies, or maybe you were in a class or something like that. But as soon as I saw that, I thought, man, that's incredible, and not so much from a physical standpoint. I mean, that's incredible, but from a mental standpoint, what kind of effect on shooting do you think that attitude plays?
It's pretty much 100%. I mean, it's all shooting to me. It's all mental, I guess you would say. Like in the sport of pre-gun or USPSA or just pretty much any competitive shooting sport, or even just tactical or training or anything like that. It's all, from what I've found out, it's all mental. I mean, whenever, like, say, if you're going into a match and if you are going up to a stage, all the stages are going to be horrible. I'm about to screw this up. Well, 99.9%, or there's going to be a 99% chance that you're going to completely screw that up. If you go in there with a real positive mindset, saying this is about to be great, I'm about to do perfect execution, blah, 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 then you have a lot better chance than actually shooting a lot better than you would if you went in there with a negative mindset. So I would say shooting competitively or just practically, it's almost more of a mental game than it is a physical game.
Where have I heard that before?
No, I don't know.
I think that's what we say in our classes almost exactly. A mental game over a physical game.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me a little bit about how you got started in shooting. Like what was the day that you said, I want to do this?
Well, if anybody's heard me tell this before, I started, I was playing video games for a long time, Call of Duty, Battlefield, all that good stuff. And then about 7 months ago, I was just like, you know what, I want to stop playing video games. I want to try out this shooting stuff, see what it's about. And I just went out there and tried it and found out that I was able to do it. And then I ended up picking up a 22 pistol and just for poops and giggles, I guess, to see if I could actually do it. And it wasn't really that bad for me. So I decided to just take a class, and then I took a defensive handgun and rifle class, and somebody posted a video online with that, and then it just went viral, and that's pretty much how it all started out.
So how did you, what was the process next for kind of overcoming certain challenges that you had of weapon manipulation and holster selection, kind of gear selection? I mean, all of us, we're all kind of, gear, what we call gear queers, right? We're all,
Yes,
we're all
we
kind
are.
of geardos or gear whores or whatever you want to call it. But, so when we're picking our gear, we're specific about, I like this because it does that or whatever. But, you've got a kind of a different set of challenges. What were some of the challenges you initially had, and how did you overcome them when you were looking at gear selection?
A lot has changed since then. Just this short 6-month period, there's a ton that has changed in how I chose my gear and all this and that. At first, I kind of wanted to go into the tactical route, and really the only difference in gear that I would have just from anybody else, is just the mount on my pistol and the loops that are on my magazines below, but pretty much everything else is just standard and all that good stuff. But it was more of a blend back then, and now it's just kind of, I don't know. I don't even know how to explain that. It's because whatever works for me. I always tell people function over form. I had a holster in my last match. I was shooting a 2011, and I didn't have a holster for it. I just took a belt sander and a heat gun and took a Glock holster and turned it into a 2011 holster.
Yeah.
So function over form is my motto, and that's why everybody laughs at me for having zip ties and JB weld on my $5,000 pistols, and I'm like, hey, it works for me. That's all that matters.
There you go.
I guess you would say is just function over form, and it don't really matter what brand or anything like that. It's just whatever works for you is the way you need to go about it. I guess that's the best answer for that.
Now we've got, I know we see a lot of students. We do some veterans only shooting matches and things like that. And we certainly have students who are training. And we just meet guys out on the range who have had something happen to them. Maybe they've lost an arm, they've lost a couple legs, and they're trying to kind of overcome things that they used to be able to do, can't do anymore. And now they're trying to figure out how to overcome those things. I know that's not your situation, but because you can, I think, appreciate that more than we could. What would you say to those guys who are kind of nervous about trying to get back into the shooting sports or getting into competition or getting back into hunting because, now things maybe aren't the same as they used to be, and maybe things are going to be a little bit harder? What would you say to those guys? How could you tell them to overcome their challenges?
If you guys haven't heard of James Gill, he's a veteran shooter that lost one of his legs and one of his eyes. And dude, he is a phenomenal shooter. He is like, I think when I shot Tar Heel last month, he placed 10th place overall out of 260 shooters, and I was squatted up with him. Just seeing that, and I guess in my situation and stuff like that, anything is possible. There's no need to kind of down yourself. Oh, I'm not going to do well, so I'm not going to go do it or anything like that. I guess take the bull by the horns and just go 100% and do your best. And if you love doing it, and then something happened like that, then there's no reason to give that up. There's always a way, whether it's building a mount on a pistol or just going 100% until you find your way to do the thing that, I guess I'm rambling there, but there's always a way, I guess, is my point to that. So don't down yourself to where, I'm not going to do good. I don't want to go out there and look like an idiot or something like that. That's just not the way to look at it. Because I've had people tell me that before. Why would you go do that? You're just going to make yourself look bad or something. And I'm like, no. I'm definitely going to go out here and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to give it my best, and I'm going to try and pull through and just do the best that I can. So if you want to do something, then do it. There is no limitations to pretty much anything. So
now I know my time in the shooting communities, everything from competition to, tactical and all that. What I found in the shooting industry as a whole is that they're pretty accepting and pretty cool, pretty laid back, pretty helpful crowd. I don't think I've ever been to a shooting competition where, I showed up and maybe I didn't have the exact right gear. I remember when I first started getting into competition a long time ago, I didn't really know the rules of the game. I had never even considered shooting competition, and everyone was really helpful and they really helped me out. Do you feel like, coming into the shooting community relatively recently, I mean, within the last year, and kind of having a different set of challenges than other people have, do you feel like the community's really just kind of embraced you?
Well, without a doubt, I agree with that 100%. I have never seen a group of more helpful people in any other sport out there. I mean, if you go to a 3-gun match or USPSA match, I mean, if you don't have something, best believe somebody there is about to give you that gear to use, or everybody there is pretty much 100% willing to help with just about anything, whether estate planning or just giving advice. So, yeah, I agree with that 100%. This is pretty much the most friendly competition I have ever been in or seen. So,
well, that's what I enjoy about shooting competitions, is that you're competing with people, but like you shoot the stage, they shoot the stage, and then you're just like hanging out. It's competitive. Don't get me wrong. When I go there, I go to win, but at the end, win or lose, it's still a great time, and you're still going to meet great people. Now,
exactly. Just like yesterday when I shot a match, and there's always that one person that you go into the match saying, okay, I want to beat that guy.
Uh-huh.
And whether it's that friend or if it's just a guy that you heard about, you want to go and beat that guy.
Mm.
Well, I found one of my buddies that me and him are always neck and neck, and throughout a match, he showed up yesterday. I was like, okay, I'm going after you, Ryan. And I was helping him stage plan the fastest routes and stuff like that, even though that was the guy I'm trying to beat, and I'm giving him advice on how to cut off a few seconds on stage and so on and so forth. So, I mean, it's just, like you were saying, it's just an awesome group of people, and it's just an extremely fun sport, and you are competing with each other, but you're still wanting to help each other out. And it's a whole lot of fun.
Now, obviously, Hunter, you have an awesome attitude about life and going out and getting things done. Like you said, just go out and do it. That's a great attitude that people with two hands sometimes don't have. So you certainly have an awesome attitude about it. Do you find that having been in the shooting sports and everyone helping you out and you're doing well, I mean, you're not a bad shooter, you're a great shooter. Do you find that kind of helps you just kind of say, hey, I'm just like everybody else? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, at first I was kind of getting that, like, what's the word?
Perception?
Participation.
Oh, participation. Okay.
Driven. Like, just go, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I was getting that, like, oh, he's just out here having fun, that's awesome kind of thing. And then a couple months into it, now I'm actually a pretty strong competitor. Can't really know how to explain it, I guess, but can you repeat that question one more time?
Yeah. So basically, just like, how do you feel the shooting community has kind of embraced you, or how has it changed kind of your own perception of maybe even your perception of yourself now that you're in there, you're in a sport where everybody typically has, two hands, and you're doing just as well or better than a lot of them. How does that kind of change the way you just kind of feel about yourself or your life or whatever, or has it had an effect?
Yeah, okay, I kind of get what you're saying now. I mean, at first, like I was saying, I was getting more of the participation award just for being out there kind of thing, and everybody was ecstatic about that. And then now I'm out there placing top 5 and stuff like that, and actually competing. Everybody kind of just got rid of the whole, okay, you don't have hands, what do you do?
Right.
You're just a shooter now. So
right.
That's how I've kind of been about everything. I don't really take the handicap, I guess you could say. I I mean, I'm just normal. I go out there and shoot just like anybody else would, and that's kind of how I've always seen it. But not everybody's seen it that way at first. That's kind of how I saw it at first, just as I'm just like anybody else and just going out there to shoot. But now I think everybody else is actually seeing that because I'm actually a strong competitor, and that's what I like to see. I don't ever like getting the whole handicap thing or anything like that. I never want to be told, oh, you get this because you don't have hands or anything like that. No, I'm just like you, and that's how I want to be classified. And I'm happy that that's kind of where I'm at now. Nobody kind of places me, okay, he has no hands, so he should go this way or he should get this. It's all, he has no hands. Look, he whooped my tail last week, so I don't care.
Right.
That's kind of how I like it. I like to be classified. I don't like the sympathy card, I guess you could say.
Well, man, I've watched some of your videos, and I'm like, if I were to just watch this video, if I were to listen to you shoot without knowing that you didn't have hands, I wouldn't think that was the case. You're how you run through stages, man. It's clean, it's efficient. You're good at manipulating the guns. You work through the problems quickly. It's you've more than held your own. So I've really enjoyed kind of watching it happen. What kind of shooting do you like the most? Like out of all the competitive styles, what do you think you enjoy the most?
Without a doubt, 100% three gun. That is my cup of tea. That's what I love to do. That's what I'm wanting to make my career in. It's three gun is without a doubt my all favorite. No questions asked.
Why so? Just because of the different platforms or other factors?
Because you have, I mean, there's long range, there's shotgun, there's aerial shotgun, there's pistol, there's long range pistol, there's burner rifle, there's burner pistol. There's just every single thing that you can possibly do all in one sport. And that really shows your marksmanship if you can do everything. And it's all under the clock.
Right.
And it's just an adrenaline rush that's crazy. I mean, I still, after all the matches I've shot, which I'm sure the people that shot 40 years still get the same exact rush. I mean, you never lose that rush whenever the buzzer goes off. Once that buzzer goes off, it's your heart stops. I don't breathe through the entire stage, and everything is in slow motion. Mm-hmm. And that's just crazy. I love every second of it.
Is there any other kind of comps that you like? Like, do you shoot any IPSC or IDPA or USPSA or any of that kind of stuff, or you pretty much just stick to three gun?
I shoot USPSA for basically pistol practice, which I actually took some advice from somebody that said you'll never be a great three-gun shooter unless you strive to be a grandmaster pistol shooter. And that actually kind of made a lot of sense to me. So I'm looking to go shoot a bunch of USPSA, which I have like 15 more total three-gun matches, like major three-gun matches. So I've got a lot on my plate at the moment, but USPSA is definitely one of those things that I'm going to try and shoot a lot of to get better at the pistol shooter.
Now, I've shot quite a bit of three gun, and one thing I always saw in three gun is that you're right about the pistol thing. That's for sure. You know, guys really screw the pistol, but I'd really see guys lose time on the shotgun too. You know, shotgun manipulation and just kind of general shotgun engagements. What do you think about the importance of shotgun in three gun? Like, is that as critical of a skill? Because so many times when I first started shooting three gun, people were like, "Oh, the shotgun is just the shotgun. You know, it's the carbine and the pistol you really got to worry about." But then I'd watch those same guys really fumble through the shotgun. So what do you think about that?
Three gun is he who loads the fastest wins.
Right. Right. So shotgun manipulation is important.
That is one of the most important aspects in three gun is your shotgun. And if you've seen me or if you've watched a bunch of my videos, you know shotgun is my favorite of all. And that is one of the things where you either make or break in the three gun sport is loading a shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely agree. That is probably your most important part in the sport, and that's why I shoot box fed gun.
Right.
So I just got 20 rounds in.
Right. So, yeah, I've seen you. You definitely favor. Are you using a Saiga?
Yeah, I'm using a Saiga 12 made by JT Engineering. I love it. I love it. I love it.
So what kind of modifications do you have on that firearm that you just think are really important for someone who's going to run a shotgun like that in competition?
I mean, honestly, I'm no gunsmith. I'm just a shooter.
Sure.
But McTeague has definitely he built it 100% from the receiver pretty much, and he's done all kinds of stuff to that gun. A muzzle brake, a mid-length brake is really important for that gun that just keeps it extremely flat. The spring system that's probably the most important is your springs, because most people that are running Segas that aren't made by him, they're having to shoot 1350 feet per second pretty much only, or else their gun won't run.
Mm-hmm.
I can shoot 180 feet per second out of mine flawlessly.
Interesting. All right.
And that's one of the biggest things about the shotgun that's going to really, in a Sega, that's really going to make it run. And then your chokes are your probably third most important thing. You need good chokes. That's definite. And then pretty much everything else is just there for perk.
Now, what kind of choke do you recommend?
Pure Gold. Pure Gold has their own line of chokes. They have IC, spreader, mod, all that good stuff.
Mm.
Spreader is actually, it's not like a diffusion choke. It's 5/100 larger than a cylinder bore choke. So it's patterned just like a normal choke would, but it comes out a lot faster and you have a much wider spread than you would with a cylinder. Okay. That's an important choke to have, especially when it's a bunch of clays or real close-up steel and stuff like that. Then you can just burn it down really quick. But IC is probably my most used choke out of everything. You can pretty much shoot steel at 15, 20 yards, be fine, and then shoot clays all with it at the same time. So
nice.
Go ahead.
Oh, that's it. I was saying that's very cool. I don't think I use a choke in any of my shotguns that's that versatile. So I think I'm gonna look at that choke now. That's why I wanted to know what choke do you use, because that's awesome.
Yeah, I use pretty much IC for everything. That's what I slot my slugs in, and I shoot slugs 150 yards sometimes. And that's just a really versatile choke. You can pretty much do anything with an IC. A spreader, that's my secondly most used choke, because if there's a bunch of clays, that is all I'm about to shoot is a spreader. And then you need a mod, which I rarely use a mod just because there's really little that you use a mod for unless it's just really, really heavy steel set at long ranges. Then I would use a mod. But other than that, it's pretty much IC or a spreader. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. If they're having problems with or their shotgun and not hitting and stuff like that, it's because they've got the wrong choke in. They shoot above it or they shoot below it or something like that, and it's not knocking it down. It's probably because you've got most people that I've talked to will have like a full choke or mod choke in. I'm like, no, buddy, you need to buy some choke. That's probably the first thing you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, chokes is a definite big deal in the shotgun game as well.
Now, other than your shotgun, I mean, what are the other firearms? Obviously, you're competing with pistol and carbine. What do you mostly favor for pistols?
Well, I shoot a Open 2011 now, which is awesome. It's the bee's knees, I guess, of open pistols. I mean, there's Glocks and stuff like that, but the Glock is striker fired and MPs are striker fired. And once you go to a hammer fired pistol like a 2011 or Cayll or something like that, it's just really, really, really hard to go back to anything else. But you definitely pay for it. That is for sure.
Well, because you're running double stack, right?
Exactly. I run a 9mm JT Engineering 2011. If I can get, with my open mag, I've got 29 in the gun, and then all my other mags are 24 if I really want to get frisky.
Man, that is a lot more rounds than I thought you were going to say.
Holy crap.
That is awesome, dude. So anything else special that you do to your handgun, just, as a competitor? Anything else that you do to just kind of really make it run smooth, make it run clean? I mean, I know you said, yeah, you're not a gunsmith. I'm kind of the same way. I'm like, put the gun in my hand and I'll shoot it. But is there anything else you notice or anything on a pistol that you favor for competition shooting?
Reloading your ammo is the biggest thing you can possibly do with your pistol. I have a buddy that's actually here right now. He's been shooting. He's actually a really, really good shooter. Don't tell him I said that. But he shoots factory ammo out of his Glock. Man, I shot a Glock for a long time, but I have powder puff loads. I mean, they are like 122 power factor, so they just barely dribble out of the gun.
Mm-hmm.
He shot these for the first time, and he has not shot factory ammo since. A huge thing in pistol shooting is reloading your own ammo. You can either, with an open gun, you want to shoot like 170 plus power factor out of it to make it shoot flat, but I actually shoot powder puff ammo out of it as well, because shooting that hot and free gun is kind of pointless. It's real distracting, and it just feels like a grenade going off in your hand. It shoots really flat, but it's like a grenade going off, and I don't particularly like that. So I shoot powder puff out of my gun as well. And I mean, really, that's one of the best modifications you can do, is just tuning your own pistol ammo.
Now, how about moving over to a carbine? I mean, what do you do to your carbine and maybe even your carbine ammo that really helps you kind of get a competitive edge when you're shooting competition?
Well, I shoot Remington ammunition out of my rifle. I don't reload my rifle, but an adjustable gas block is a definite necessity in your rifle, so you can really just tune down all that gas. You definitely need a good muzzle brake, and what I use is an SJC Titan, and I'm not sponsored by them, but I've probably sold more of those brakes than I've sold anything else, just from seeing how flat my gun actually shoots. So, muzzle brake, a adjustable gas block is definitely important, and a low mass carrier as well. I shoot a boom fab carrier, which is, I think, 6.0 ounce carrier. It's extremely light, and I mean, it's just, there's no felt recoil, no muzzle climb. It's just ridiculous. Plus the trigger, you got to have a good trigger.
What do you?
And I shoot an AR gold trigger, and that is probably, without a doubt, the best trigger on the market.
All right.
So with those three things put together, that's the best way to make your carbine shooting better. You need a trigger with a real quick reset, a stupidly loud and obnoxious muzzle brake that will keep it extremely flat, an adjustable gas block, and a lightweight carrier. Those four things put together, you're gonna have an awesome rifle.
And now, how about gear setup? Like your normal, like your belt loadout. I mean, what do you prefer? I know every competitor is different, but what do you prefer as far as, access to magazines? How much ammo do you carry on you? Things like that. Any particular gear that you think makes you faster and more efficient?
I mean, that to me, it really just depends on the stage. I mean, if the stage is no pistol, I'm not even gonna carry my pistol on me. That's just more stuff that I'm having to carry on my body that will slow me down.
Mm-hmm.
But say if state has all 30 guns and I will be loading each one of them at least once, I will have a rifle mag in the gun, probably a 40 plus a base pad. We have 46 rounds in. I will have a 30-round mag on my waist with a 6-round base pad. Give me 36. I'll carry 2 extra pistol mags plus my big stick that's in the gun. And then with my shotgun, I'll have one in the gun, and I'll have my leg rig on with my shotgun mags in. And I'll probably carry 2 shotgun mags. I usually don't carry more than that, but that gets really heavy.
Yeah, well, I was just...
all my gear probably weighs more than I do, fully loaded on me.
Well, I was just looking. I'm looking on your website as you were talking about your loadout. And there's this slideshow in the beginning, and it's showing you with all your gear, and you're kind of shooting. You're posing for some pictures or whatever. But I'm looking at all the gear on your body, and I'm like, man, that's a lot of, like, these big old shotgun mags loaded up with shells. I'm like, man, that's a lot of weight.
Whenever I'm walking around resetting or something, if I'm about to go up there, like each leg is just like locked into place. Like I got to hobble around everywhere because everything. I had straps on my legs. I actually just recently got a holster from Red Eye Tactical that he custom made for me from my 2011. It's got a strap going around the legs, and it actually swivels. So whenever my leg moves, the strap moves with it, and it doesn't let the holster go.
Nice.
And which actually really, really helps my draw, so it doesn't kick out the bottom of the holster because that gun weighs like 4 pounds, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're running, that thing will start flopping everywhere. And now I've got a leg rig on the left leg with all my shotgun mags, and I've got a leg rig on my right leg with my holster, and it gets a little not fun to walk around in. That is definitely for sure.
Now I know that for shooting, you know, I do kind of like what I call functional fitness, right? Like I have a certain set of exercises I do, you know, to keep kind of my the right muscles strong, you know, muscles for holding guns up, muscles for holding guns out, muscles for moving, you know, magazines to weapons, because that kind of takes a normal or a different muscle group, I mean, than what the normal actions you're going to do throughout your day, driving a car, you know, sitting at a desk, whatever. Do you have any kind of like physical routine that you go through? Do you practice? You know, do you do a lot of dry practice with your guns, or do you have any kind of physical routine you go through?
Well, I used to do a lot of dry firing, pretty much with my pistol and stuff like that. And I also do, I mean, I guess it sounds kind of stupid, but I'll, at about 10 yards, I'll have a little 1-inch sticker, and I will hold my gun on it. I'll hold my rifle on it for 5 minutes without letting it go down or anything. I'll actually just hold my rifle at that dot for 5 minutes, and then my shotgun, I'll do it for 2 minutes. And then with my pistol, I have a 10-pound kettlebell that I'll just hold up with my right arm, which is the one that I hold the pistol with.
Mm-hmm.
I'll hold it up for about, I'll do it in like different, I don't really know how you call that, a rage or whatever, strings. I'll do it for 10 seconds, then I'll do it for 20 seconds, then I'll do it for 30 seconds, all the way up to about 2 minutes. And that's pretty much the normal stuff I'll do with gun-wise, I guess. I'll do that about once every 2 to 3 days, which definitely helps because just holding up like at a plate rack or something at 50 yards, if you first start doing that, your gun's going to get a lot of sway because you're not used to holding that up. And then once you do those drills for a little while, then it's just like, okay, that's a hard ball. So that definitely helps me, which sounds a little crazy, but it's actually tended to work. So I keep doing it. And I guess that's about all I can think of that I do.
Now, for people who want to go find out more about you and see your equipment and find out more about, you know, your upcoming matches and some of the other information that you put out, your sponsors, the people, you know, that make some of your equipment, nohandedshooter.com is your website. Is there any other place that people can find you?
There is Instagram, and that is No Handed Shooter. That's where I post a lot of videos and stuff like that. My Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Hunter Cayll Nubs. And then I also just recently put out a store, which is nohandedshooter.net, where I've got pluggers, t-shirts, stickers, patches, pretty much anything out there now. I think that's about all I've got up right now. I've got a Twitter, but I don't really use it as much. And I need to start working on my YouTube account. That definitely needs to get some thought put into it, but I've been slacking. Been doing a lot of shooting, a lot less technical stuff. But those are a lot of places that you can find me.
Now
and of course on the range, you know, I'll definitely be there most of the time.
Right. Now I see on your nohandedshooter.net, I'd seen your no excuses thing before, but you've got your stickers, you got chamber flags, your t-shirts, you got a rail cover, everything that's no excuses, you know, and I really, the first time I saw you post that up was really when I decided to contact you to get you on the show, because that's kind of something that we throw around a lot around here, is the whole no excuses. You know, we're very much into that. And everyone's got an excuse why they're not succeeding or why they're not able to do something. And then, you see a guy like you who has kind of a different set of circumstances than other people, but you don't care. It doesn't stop you from doing the things that you want to do. So I can really appreciate that, man. Is that something that came just kind of from you, or did that come from someone else? Your kind of tagline of no excuses.
That was one of those. After that first video went out and it all just kind of went nuts, I was sitting there thinking, like, well, I guess this is about to get a lot bigger than I've ever thought of, so I need a motto. And my dad was sitting there, and he was just kind of like, what about no excuses? They're like, that's good. That's short and pretty much exactly on point. So we'll go with that. It's been stuck ever since. Right
on. Well, hey, man, we're pretty much out of time, but I really thank you for coming on the show. We'll post up when we post up the show on our own Facebook page and everything. We'll make sure to post up links to the various sites that you talked about, so everyone can find you and read more about you and look at your No Excuses gear, because I love it. I think it's great. Any kind of parting words or final words for our listeners?
You guys go out there, get some trigger time in. Everybody needs it. If somebody tells you that you can't do something, make that your goal to completely prove them wrong. That's what I've always done, and just never give up. That's one of the main things. I mean, if you can't do something on the first try, you better try harder and get it done on the second try. So that's how I've always lived life, and that's how a lot of people should, I guess. But I really appreciate you guys having me on the show. It's been a blast. Sorry I was a little late.
That's all right, man. So again, man, I appreciate it. Thanks very much, and have a good day, man. And be safe out there.
Man, I appreciate it.
All right, bye. What do you think, John?
Fantastic.
Incredible. It's just, what a great guy.
Dude seems like a cool dude to hang out with. I'd like to have a beer with that guy.
He's a phenomenal shooter. I mean, above everything, I was being dead serious when I said, man, if you listen to him shoot, just turn on one of his videos and look at something else and just listen to him shoot. You're like, man, that guy's really fast and he's really good. He's moving to the stage really well. And then you watch the video and you're like, dude, that has no hands. Man, I need to get out there and do some shooting.
I should shoot more.
because this, Hunter's as good or better than the majority of shooters that I'm around, certainly. So it's really, I wasn't talking about you, John, specifically, but I mean, if the shoe fits, go ahead and wear that thing around town.
God.
But
so mean.
But make sure you check out Hunter at nohandedshooter.com and nohandedshooter.net because he really.
Yeah, I think I'll be ordering a couple of them stickers.
Yeah, I gotta get some of those stickers for sure. Very, very cool guy. Watch his videos on his YouTube channel. I followed him on Instagram and watched a lot of his videos on Instagram. Phenomenal. I mean, Instagram's like little short 15-second videos, which is perfect because my attention span is about 15 seconds.
That's a stretch on some days.
So
yeah, it's about 5 seconds more than everybody else. So.
Yeah.
So he's got some really good videos that you can watch and see him shoot, and he's just got such a dang good attitude. Forget the fact the guy has no hands. I don't really care about that. He's a phenomenal shooter.
Sweet.
Check him out. Nohandedshooter.com. Phenomenal. All right. Next week, in the studio, we're going to have Jason from Dylan Precision.
Ooh.
Dylan Precision going to be in here talking to us about two big things: how to get started in reloading for guys like me who've never really done it. I shoot thousands.
I've got all the crap at my house.
I shoot thousands of rounds of reloaded ammunition. Don't reload any of it. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Everyone else reloads.
That's how you get started in reloading. You have someone else do it for you, and you just shoot it.
That's right. So, check that out. Our show next week, Jason from Dylan Precision will be talking to us about reloading and also about Dylan equipment specifically. That's the second part is
nice.
Why use Dylan? I like Dylan equipment. I've seen it operating. All my ammo's loaded on Dylan stuff. It all is done very high standards. So we're going to be talking to him and getting people more information because that's a really important thing to know.
And they're local to Arizona.
And they're an Arizona company. Any parting words, John?
Nope.
All right. Well, remember about our Veterans Action shooting match this month, next Monday.
Yes.
May 11th.
Come see my smiling face.
Oh, my gosh. 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Cowtown. You do need to pre-register. So make sure that you pre-register and contact us, info@independencetraining.com to get more information. Until then, stay aware, stay safe, and train hard. You've been listening to The Arms Room.
Because we are the prey. Yes, we are the prey. We'll fight you in name, the name of the fray. We are the U.S. of A. For those unaware, that flag is still there. It's our future to save. Stand of the brave, the U.S. of A.